One of the main reasons I signed up for the study abroad was because of the vast amount of problems that the Netherlands have with water. They have such a different scenario than we have in the West, and the amount of engineering projects they've done to overcome their problems is nothing like that I've seen before.
It's just an interesting international experience, and my interests lay in more water and transportation, so it fit my interests.
The main reason that I went on this trip was a more intimate learning experience than the other study abroads that were offered. There were only 9 of us students going.
I hoped from this program that I'd be able to see a new perspective of engineering and be able to learn more about the intricacies of water engineering.
I've always wanted to go and see all of the dams and dikes and see all of their waterworks projects.
I thought it was really interesting to go to the Netherlands to learn how, like, all the different things that they had to do to basically keep the water out.
One of the technical tours we went on was to the Oosterschelde barriers in the Netherlands. I was assigned this topic to study before we left, and you don't really grasp the full magnitude of the project until you're there. But when I actually saw the barrier and what it does, it was just mind-blowing to me at the amount of money and resources and people that went into building that project just to close off that part of the Netherlands from a storm surge.
So one of the cultural experiences that we had was going to Rotterdam, in particular the market there in Rotterdam. And it was amazing to just be there in Rotterdam.
One of my favorite technical tours of many, I had about 12 favorites, but my most favorite was the Maison Carring barrier. You can look at pictures and imagine how big it is, but standing underneath a 6-foot pipe with 9-centimeter thick walls was quite inspiring. Massive structure, and it moves, and it's something that I'd have a hard time explaining in words, because being there and actually seeing it was just so much beyond what I imagined.
The cultural experience that I enjoyed the most was one that I had persuaded Dr. Ames to put in the itinerary. It was going to the Flanders Fields War Cemetery, as well as the Rooting Soldier Memorial for the Canadian Army that for World War I.
I thought Dr. Ames, he was pretty interesting. Actually, pretty much all the people on the city were pretty interesting.
One of my favorite technical tours that we went on was to Kinderdijk. I got to do research on Kinderdijk, and so I got to study all about how the windmills worked, which is not something that I knew beforehand, and it was really cool to go and see the great big gears turning inside the windmills and see the water getting pumped out of the canals, and just getting to actually see what I've learned about on paper.
My attitude towards the Dutch and the Europeans in general has changed for the better. I didn't know much about the European culture and what they do there, but I was very impressed at the amount of work that is going into improving their living conditions, and especially the Netherlands, where they put so much money into research, into construction projects, and the amount of knowledge that's there in water resources engineering is incredible.
It was just worth it to be able to go that far away from home and study engineering in a totally different perspective.
I think the study abroad was a really good experience for me to understand how similar we all are, and yet the differences that we have. And I think that was what really struck me, was even though we have such big differences across the whole ocean, particularly with studying water resources, we all need water, and we all have the intellect that we've been given, and we've all used it in different ways, but to get the same basic purposes. And so I think that was the biggest thing.
I think for the amount that it cost, we got to experience a lot. I think it was money well spent.
I think that this trip was definitely worth the money that we spent.
Was this trip worth the money I spent? Yes.
When I first signed up, I was a little nervous about money and finances to go on the trip, but I realized quickly, even up to the trip, I was like, oh, is it worth it? But I realized quickly in the first couple of days when I was there that it was definitely worth the amount of money that I spent on the trip for the experience that I got and the knowledge that I gained.
I think the experience was worth the money that I spent.
It was a little bit kind of in the middle of the different capstone study abroad budgets, so it was a comfortable amount, but really at the end of the day, it felt like it should have cost more.
I would tell a student that was trying to decide whether or not to go for the study abroad that if they can do it, just do it.
One, it's a really quick and dirty way to get your capstone done. It's a really fun experience. But two, it's just, if you haven't been to Europe before, it's really good. And also just to see how their universities work and hopefully, you get to work on projects with them. I think working on projects with people in other countries is like the best thing about a study abroad.
Do it. Just do it if you have the chance.
I would tell a student who's trying to decide whether they should want to study abroad or not, they should definitely go if they can. I think that it's a really great way to experience another culture and see other amazing projects that are totally different than you get here in the US.
If I were to meet a student who was trying to decide whether or not to go on this trip, I would tell them to just go. It'll be unlike anything else, any other study abroad. It's unique, and I think its value is awesome.
I rode into town on a horse named Sorrow to see what became of my hopes for tomorrow. Okay, that's good. Not to mention the songs we learned from the Ames family.